My parents kicked me out at 18 and said, be grateful we fed you, so I fed them something they couldn't swallow. I graduated high school on a Saturday. The next morning, my dad knocked on my bedroom door and told me I had 2 weeks to find my own place. I thought he was joking at first, but my mom backed him up. She said, you're an adult now. We did our job. Time for you to figure things out. I asked where I was supposed to go, and my dad just shrugged. He said, we made it work at your age. You will too. I had like $400 saved from my part-time job at the grocery store. No car, no college plans yet, nothing. I spent those 2 weeks applying everywhere. Finally got hired at a warehouse loading trucks. The day I moved out, I grabbed my stuff and headed for the door. My mom stopped me and said, you should be grateful we fed you and kept a roof over your head for 18 years. A lot of parents don't do that. I didn't say anything, just left. I crashed on my buddy Mike's couch for 3 months while I saved up. Got my own tiny apartment after that. It was rough. Some nights I ate ramen for dinner 3 days straight because that's all I could afford. But I made it work. I kept that warehouse job and picked up weekend shifts at a pizza place. 5 years went by and I barely heard from my parents. Maybe a text on my birthday. That's it. Then one day my mom called out of nowhere. She was all friendly asking how I was doing. I knew something was up. She eventually got to the point. Said my dad had been let go from his job. Some corporate downsizing thing. They were struggling with bills and could really use some help. I asked what kind of help. She said, well, we were hoping you could loan us some money just to get through the next few months. I almost laughed. I asked how much they needed. She said $5,000. I told her I'd think about it and hung up. The next week my dad called. He tried the guilt trip angle saying, we raised you, fed you, this is the least you could do. I reminded him that he kicked me out at 18 and told me to figure it out on my own. He got quiet for a second, then said, that was to teach you responsibility. Now we need you to be responsible for family. I told him I'd get back to him. I thought about it for a few days. Then I had an idea. I called them back and said I'd help, but I had conditions. They had to come to my apartment and we'd discuss it in person. They agreed and drove over that Saturday. When they showed up, I had papers printed out on my coffee table. My dad looked confused and asked what all this was. I said, before I give you any money, I need you to sign this agreement. It was an invoice. I'd calculated 18 years of rent at the average rate for our area. Added up cost of food, utilities, everything. Came out to about $200,000. Then I'd subtracted the $5,000 they were asking for. I slid the paper across the table and said, sign this acknowledging you owe me $195,000 and I'll give you the $5,000 right now. My mom's face went red. She said, are you serious right now? This is ridiculous. I said, no. What's ridiculous is kicking your kid out at 18 and then asking him for money 5 years later. My dad started arguing saying parents don't owe their kids anything. I said, exactly. And kids don't owe their parents anything either. You made that real clear when you kicked me out. My mom tried switching tactics saying I was being cruel and they were desperate. I told them I was desperate too when I was eating ramen every night and sleeping on a couch. Nobody helped me. My dad stood up and said, we're not signing this. I said, then I'm not giving you money. They both just stared at me like they couldn't believe what was happening. My mom grabbed her purse and said, you're going to regret this. We're your parents. I said, you stopped being my parents the day you kicked me out. Now you're just two people who need money. They left. Slammed my apartment door on the way out. My mom sent me a long text later that night calling me selfish and heartless. I blocked both their numbers. A few weeks later, I heard through my aunt that they'd figured things out. My dad found another job. They were fine. I never got an apology. But honestly, I didn't need one anymore. That day they came to my apartment, I fed them the same energy they'd given me, and they couldn't swallow it.